Hello, dear listener. I have something truly special to share. It's an exclusive invitation to join me in Mexico for an intimate and luxurious 3-day retreat along the beautiful Pacific coast of Zihuatanejo, taking place the weekend of the spring equinox, March 18th through the 20th. There's also an optional day to stay through the 21st for some special ceremonies that are happening in the area for the equinox. But the retreat itself is the 18th through the 20th, really an opportunity not to be missed. And I'm offering one lucky listener a discounted ticket on this weekend that I've just been loving into being actually for several years now as COVID and, everything. But when we conceived of building this place, our home down here, it's really what we envisioned, bringing people down here for retreats, for trainings, because we felt and we knew that this space was special. And as people keep coming down and we keep getting the feedback, how magical it is, we want to share it in a really intentional way. Be working with the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, the metaphors of the season. We'll set sight on a new vision for our mothering journey and creating a deeper connection to self and Mother Nature. So to win a discounted ticket, rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. Screenshot it and DM it to me on Instagram at Dr. Gertrude Lyons. And remember, the most important thing to mother is yourself. Give yourself permission to take a retreat this year. And besides, who said mothers can't go on a spring break? I'll see you there.
Hello, and welcome to Rewrite the Mother Code. I'm Dr. Gertrude Lyons, a professional life coach, exploring, demystifying, and democratizing the maternal power that lives in all women. The experience of mothering may not necessarily mean what you think it means. I believe that mothering is a vehicle for transformation, whether or not we have children. And together, we can start a new conversation around modern motherhood. On this show, we will redefine what it means to mother and untap the powerful feminine within you. Are you ready to rewrite the mother code? This is a Soulfire production. Hello, and welcome to episode 14 of the Rewrite the Mother Code podcast. Super excited to hop on today and talk about the topic of love and relationships and Valentine's Day. Well, they all go together, right? It's also February, and February in the northern climates is probably one of the dreariest months of the year, and can be quite chilly. But it's also Valentine's Day, so it's considered this month of love. And I, for one, have a birthday in November, and I know a lot of people with birthdays in November. So 9 months after February is November. So just saying. Anyway, I digress. Okay. So on today's episode, we're going to focus on relationships, looking at what does it take to have a meaningful, successful relationship? What are some things my husband Rich and I have done to help make that possible? We're going to look at how emotions play in to relationships. We're going to talk about some things that you can do every day to create more meaning in your relationship. But we also don't want to ignore Valentine's Day. So we're going to spend a little bit of time looking at why, that day holds so much pressure. Why is there anxiety around that? And also, what kind of guidance can we have on that specific day that relates to this meaning that we're talking about for relationships? So we can look at what all of that and what, having instead of February be the dreariest month or one that feels like this big pressure, but one that we're exploring and really looking at relationships from a much more truthful lens, and one that we can actually sink our teeth into. And so here we go. All right. So let's look at what does it take and what makes up a meaningful, successful relationship. Well, I know over the course of the years, my husband and I have been doing growth work and ups and downs of really working on our couple. I would say one of the key things of what it takes to have a successful relationship is dedication and hard work. There's this big myth, I think, in the relationship world, and particularly in the romantic relationship world, about the myth of the happy couple. And I come from an era, many of you won't even know about this, this, but this image just popped in my mind. There were these two like cartoon characters, and their big thing was love is never having to say you're sorry. Well, could there be bigger BS than that? Look at, this is probably 50 years, 40 years later, and that image is embedded in my mind. So as much as I know better, it's still there, right? So we have these images in our culture of, you fall in love, you find your soulmate and you just know. And then once you decide you are going to maybe get married or be in a committed relationship, and then you just coast from there, right? You've decided you feel the love. And I'm not denying, and we'll talk about, of course, we have loving feelings towards somebody. It's more about what does it take to keep that fire ignited, to keep it growing and interesting. And the cool thing is that the sky's the limit. No one ever fully knows themselves, let alone their partner. So it's a continuous and just huge possibilities of relationships growing deeper and deeper. That is a truth versus the myth that you're going to get married and you just coast from there and you accept each other for your faults and differences and maybe never have to say you're sorry and, everything, right? The fairy tale, live happily ever after, the the movie Pretty Woman, where he just climbs up the fire escape and whisks you away in his limousine out of your dreary, factory life and into the sunset, right? And as much as we know better, okay, these images, these beliefs, these thoughts are wired in us. And it takes a lot to overcome them. And it takes a lot to really keep the fire going. And then for us, even having started on a growth path and moved into aspects of a relationship that neither of us ever saw, in our parents or even knew was possible, you can reach plateau points. And there's theories and there's things in there called I forget who he is, but someone who proposed a theory called the happy plateau. And that's where, a couple kind of reaches this, they've done some work, you've kind of worked at it, and you reach a happy plateau. Nothing's terribly wrong, but it's dangerous to be on that plateau because that's what it is, right? It's a plateau. It's not taking you higher. It's not taking you into new territory or the unknown or the continuous discovery that we're talking about. Something that I think is missing for a lot of couples is the realization that and this isn't just in relationships, but this is everywhere in life, right? We're kind of addicted to like the easy answers and the quick steps and, how to have a relationship in 10 easy steps. So all of those are going to really trip us up. But they also keep us from exploring and really discovering what our deeper yearnings are and what is it that we even envision or hope to gain for ourselves or get fulfilled by in a relationship. So, on the want category or more of, and maybe even like some of the myths, but in the kind of more immediate aspects or things that we think are going to give us this deeper satisfaction are, the flowers, right? The being romanticized, the titillation of a relationship, or of meeting somebody new, that kind of like new buzz that you have in a new relationship, and your heart's aflutter all the time. And we don't realize that, that's a phase, and there can be aspects of that that's beautiful and we should experience it fully, but that's not what we should expect that feeling to be the one that carries us through. The deeper yearnings are going to be more like things like, I yearn to be loved. I yearn to matter. I yearn to be seen, to be touched, to make a difference, to go closer to myself, to learn, to grow. I find myself even speaking them differently than the excitement and the other aspects that we don't want to throw away, but we give those too much power. And I know I mentioned the myth of the soulmate, right? And I don't mean to dismiss when we feel like we've found somebody that is our, the potential of a really strong, powerful partner. And, something that my husband and I put in our vows was that we were going to be partners, lovers, and best friends. And all of those, it's kind of that combination, and those all hold different aspects of a successful relationship, right? Like best friends, that's full empowerment and support, but also, being silly and having fun and sharing your secrets, and the person you can't wait to tell, a success that you had, but also, will be there when you go to share something that you're challenged with. Lovers, obviously that means, a physical relationship that's satisfying, but intercourse can take many forms, right? It can take the physical, of course, it takes the physical form that we're most familiar with, but there's, emotional intercourse, verbal intercourse, where we really hit deep, profound spaces and we go into the unknown, right? Like what's an orgasm? But this kind of earth shattering, I'm so in the present moment and I'm, feeling potentially even, oneness with spirit and, really takes me someplace. Well, conversations can have that same level of potency, that same richness and fulfillment that sex can bring us. And we want all of it. And partners, right? Like, how do we function together? How do we do, a home together? If you decide to have children, how do we partner around children? It's, kind of where you're like business partners. And sometimes couples are actual literal business partners. But either way, your life as a business is something that I don't think, we necessarily think about. But when it's just one of those and you don't have all three, we're really missing out. And, lately, I'd say over the last several years, Rich and I have declared that we're really focusing on the best friends part. And I would say the lovers part too, from the all aspects perspective. Partnering, we really did well with that in raising our children. We were very good partners. We partner well in projects. We are very aligned around how we want our home to be and creating a vision for it and coming together and using, our gifts and talents really well to do things like that. And we want to expand that. And then, adding to that, what's our bigger vision as a couple? So of course it's to be fulfilled and satisfied, with ourselves and, within that relationship, but to what end, right? When we look at purpose, we want to look at to what end, and we hold, that we hope to be a model, an inspiration to couples for what's possible in a relationship as we work on ours, not because we have it figured out or, have claimed some territory in it, but, to really honor and show the work that it takes to have a couple. It really is something in my life, an area in my life that I am the most proud of. And that certainly doesn't mean that we haven't had low points and we haven't had dry spells and we've hung out in plateaus, the partnering around our kids, like that was a plateau. We kind of gave that a lot of emphasis and let some of the other areas really go fallow. So we're working to bring that back online. I want to touch on another aspect, the whole like getting to know each other and how this whole never having to say a sorry, why that's such a myth, because something we've learned in our coaching, which we've done consistently, over the course of our coming up on 31 years of marriage this year is, to get coaching, but this awareness that we can always learn from each other and that having arguments and fights are going to be a source of a treasure trove of a way to get to know each other more. And, we came into a relationship and it's always been our work as conflict avoiders. And, we were able to track back like where in our upbringings, we came to feeling like it's best to just avoid conflict and sweep it under the rug, pretend it's not there. Unfortunately, I think anyone who's remotely aware knows that doesn't work, no matter how much we think and how much I think, like every time, like, oh, it's okay. It's only we let things build and then we have explosions and it's about usually something stupid like the toothpaste cap, not getting screwed on right. We laughed about that the other day. My husband was saying something about how I was squeezing the toothpaste and, we can laugh about those things. But if we had stuff build up, him criticizing me for something small like that, I could have blown my top. And then, we'd have this argument about toothpaste and the right way to squeeze your toothpaste. And I know it sounds ridiculous right now, but that's what happens. But when we break those arguments down, we really get to see, where did that, him criticizing me for something, like what deeper wound is that touching for me? And why is it important, to explore that so that we can take responsibility, in our relationship. And it's learning those skills. And as I was saying, we've had coaching over the years with both Dr. Bob and Judith Wright, because they both bring a different flavor and aspects to allowing us and growing our couple. But even if you don't coach with them, they have a book called The Heart of the Fight. It's such a beautiful, it's one of my favorite books. Rich and I are in it, not with our real names. So if you ever do read it and wonder who we are, I'm happy to tell you after you read it. But we're in there, I think, at least once as an example couple. But for some, kind of a recovering conflict avoider, I've learned, we've had assignments on to actually pick fights with each other, to bring our arguments and our disagreements to the forefront. We've had assignments, and any of these you can try, to share, through the day, likes and dislikes. So sounds kind of simple, but just, when you're in conversation, like, I don't like that. And it can be about the other person or something about them, or it can be about anything, but just explicitly like putting out what you like and dislike, it can tend to take the charge out of a criticism that you might have or something that's annoying or bugging you. But it gives you these on-ramps, right, to be in relationship around things that are annoying us, that happens in relationships. So we really want to, foster that kind of conversation and those kind of interactions with each other. Hi, I'm so excited to share with you my 2024 Spring Equinox Self-Mothering Retreat that's happening this March 2024. And I would love for you not only to consider it, but to attend. But in considering it, hey, just knowing that you would be leaving cold weather, if that's the space that you're in, and coming down to just magnificently beautiful, warm, nourishing place of Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Zihuatanejo meaning land of the goddess women, and coming to really take time for yourself. Okay. And that I am learning more and more isn't just a nice thing to do or something extravagant or something selfish. It's essential. And I really want you to take it seriously, to consider, just think about what would it take for me to go. It's a 5.5-day retreat, getting from where you are, getting there, landing there, and then being in a space that is all about you. It's all about nourishing you. It's all about tuning into you, using everything around us, the nature, the food, the beautiful people, the rituals, ceremonies. I bring it, we really bring it. And we go deeper and deeper as the days go on, and we release, we let go, we bring in what is nourishing, what is empowering, what is that space of just really divine feminine energy. And we do it in the community of women. It's not for everyone. I will be honest, if the idea of leaving and not making it work, or it's just too hard, not for you. If the idea of, spending that amount of time inwardly focused and going to that level of self-awareness doesn't sound like something you're willing to do or put the time and energy into, then it's not for you. And it's good to know that, right? So this is for people who are serious about what it means to mother themselves, what it means to take time for ourselves, and that gift and what that gift can bring to us. It was originally right after my fall retreat. It filled right up. But now some people, it turns out, are not able to come. So I do have a handful of openings. And if you're listening to this and you're willing to take that step, please reach out to me. We can do a discovery call, or you can put a deposit down. I would love that. And you can do that by going to my website, www.drgertrudelyons, DrGertrudelyons.com. Go to events, and there you go. It'll all be there. There's a beautiful page there for you to explore. I look forward to hearing from you and then seeing you on my spring retreat. And for us, I'll speak for Rich for a moment, but arguing to him, coming from a family that, would have explosive arguments and then eventually ended in divorce, arguing meant you get divorced. Arguing meant people leave. It takes a lot to learn how to resolve and get to resolution around an argument. And that's a skill that you can learn. Take some practice, like anything that you're learning new and don't really know how to do. And I can't emphasize the value of it enough. And the value of learning that skill. And, when I work with couples in coaching, whether it's in the engagement phase, of the relationship or in the midst of the relationship, various transitions, this is always something that we work on and we have assignments around to really practice these skills. So super important, but we don't want to, wait for an argument. And now when we look kind of more in the like partner realm and looking at it as a business, what are ways that make you a successful salesperson, for example, or, in any of the business that we're in, we have disciplines. Right. We have taking care of our bodies. And when we know to have optimal health, we have disciplines, brushing our teeth. We know what a healthy diet is. We don't always follow one. The diet and exercise and, keeping things clean and being consistent with it. We all feel better. And it's not a debatable thing, right? We may argue it at times that we want to eat badly, that there's, that's not true, but we all know in our hearts that that's not true. So same with our couple. And this is something that, we've learned along the way, again, in our couples coaching and couples groups that we've been in, is to set and have these disciplines. And some of them, you might already have, like particularly, I coach couples, and one discipline that many will have instated at somewhere along the way is to have a consistent date night. And yes, that's whether you're literally like dating, living together, whatever phase you are in your relationship or in a relationship, having a date, at least one date night or date time a week is critical, because in our busy lives, if you're, in a relationship and you have children, then it's even that much more critical and that much more difficult to make happen, because we might be so busy with our work and everything else. And then we feel like we need to next be with our kids. But I've underlined this before, the health of your couple is the best thing you can do if you have children in the mix. And it's the best thing you can do for your careers and your businesses and everyone else in your life, is having that, this core relationship, this closest relationship, be as strong and solid as possible. So in the midst of a busy week, knowing that you at least have that date night to look forward to, and that's, sacred. And if you do ever have to, a conflict comes up, you reschedule it just like you would an important appointment with your like top client, right? You're not just going to say, okay, we'll miss this week. No, you don't do it. So you don't do it with your couple. Some other ones that Rich and I have put into place, and I'll tell you, the connection and closeness I feel with my husband are directly related to how well we keep these disciplines. And the next one I'm going to share sounds super simple, but to do it on a daily basis has taken us, we kind of played around with it, for a while, and it was good. But once you every day do this discipline, I can guarantee you it'll make a difference. And that's literally setting a timer for 5 minutes each to talk about your day. And you can do this at any point in the day, but it's a space for you to just talk. The only parameters are, it can't be logistical. It can't be just like, well, here's my day, and kind of, ideally you're not listing it off or making it logistical, because those are much easier conversations for relationships to have. But the ones where you might be sharing about a challenge that you've had in the day or something you're celebrating, bringing each other into each other's day for that 5 minutes each on a consistent basis really allows then literal ongoing connection, and then you can build on it. You're not had any contact all week, and then you come to your date and it's like, trying to get everything caught up and just relax and be together. And it's too much pressure on the day. So this really helps the date night as well. So that's a big one. That one, we have really held consistently over the last, I would say 3 years, really well. And we notice, so then when we do get off of it, or aren't consistent, it's a temperature check for us. Like, what's been going on? Like the holidays, we didn't do so well. So we looked at how we hadn't planned, where we got caught up with family. And even though it was still a COVID holiday, there was still a lot of like pressure, and I missed it. And there was a cost to not having it. A couple other things we do are, once a week, we clear resentments. What am I most afraid to say? Or what's a truth I haven't told? What's something I'm, sitting on that I haven't shared? And that one always like feels the scariest. And I never like kind of honestly want to do it. But every time we do, it takes a weight off. You don't realize, and they don't have to be big things. Like something you said like really bugged me, and I've been sitting on it, to something bigger. We also, not every day, but we have a goal to at least twice a week. And if we do more, great. Do what we call the feelings game. I've shared about it in some other episodes, where we use the structure of the 5 main emotions: fear, hurt, anger, sadness, and joy. And we go through our day talking about where we felt at least once each of those emotions. And if anybody ever says, oh, I didn't feel hurt today, it's a lie. We're just blocking it. And it means we're in the process of bringing some of our emotions more clearly online, because we're having emotions constantly through our day. It's how much are we numbing them? How much are we sitting on them? And how much are we ignoring them? So this gives a chance for some outlet of that and practice in sharing them, because an emotional connection, with any significant any relationship, but particularly your significant ones, is really where we're going to, meet our deeper yearnings, have the closeness and connection that we so yearn for, and be aware, through our relationship, we've been aware that as we've worked on something, and then I'm starting to get maybe, more of an emotional connection with Rich, or he's like softening up, I get scared. And then I have to watch. That's where coaching comes in, because we can unconsciously kind of thwart the progress of our partner because it's new and uncomfortable. And we don't always like the new and uncomfortable as much as we yearn for it. Right. So that's where support can really come into play. I've probably in almost every couple session that I have, there's places I point out where, oh, hey, did you notice, that your partner just gave you what you've been asking for? And like, no, I just like rolled right over it. Right. We kind of get on our track and stuck in our beliefs that we miss it. And really important to start recognizing it and, encouraging and supporting when we're getting the things that we want from our partner. So these are, some of the things that we do, but we literally have it. My husband has the most amazing disciplines as a salesperson. And when he's been in sales through his career of tracking. And similarly, I have a dashboard, where I track metrics every week. So we made one for our couple, and, we weighted things and many of the things that I just mentioned, but other things that we want to track for our own health and well-being. And then our goal is, every week to come together and share how our week went. And, we just did this on Sunday. It was one of our best weeks that we've had in a long time. So we celebrated. That was awesome. And now, we have the opportunity to go at it again this week. And also, I just laid out a lot and a lot of possibilities. Do yourself a favor and don't try all of them at once. You want to always set yourself up for success when you're trying, any new habit, or as positive as it is, bringing that, into any relationship or space. So I know we're doing the feelings game every day. If you've never done it before, we don't do the feelings game every day. That's why we're only doing it like a couple times a week, because it's a habit we want to build in even more consistently. But we know better than to say we're going to do it every day until we do it a couple times a week for a long time. So same with the 5 minutes a day. We have now gotten to a point where we will each support each other to make sure that happens. And sometimes it means, being in bed and comfortable and just wanting to go to sleep. And someone's like, we didn't do our 5. Okay, let's do it. And sitting up and doing it. And we're always so happy we did. So I want these to, feel supportive and also set yourself up for success. So now in the context of looking at relationships from this and how to have success and meaningfulness, then we throw in a holiday called Valentine's Day. And similar to things I've shared about, other holidays that, our culture gives so much meaning. And of course we can all say like, well, it's a Hallmark holiday, blah, blah, blah. And, the roots of it are from St. Valentine's that, wrote a note in prison, but it wasn't even like this like lusty love aspect. It was much more, it's actually a very beautiful story in many ways. And, you can take a look at it, but obviously nothing even remotely close to what we're expected. And there's this expectation. And sometimes what comes from expectation is we expect the other to read our mind. So if you are going to actually join in and use Valentine's Day as a way to share love and show your love and appreciation for your loved one and even others. But as far as getting yourself satisfied, and this is another thing that's so important in the Heart of the Fight book in 7 Rules of Engagement, is that you are 100% responsible for your own satisfaction in a relationship. So that translates on Valentine's Day to like letting your significant other know what you want and what would make you happy, and not expecting them to read your mind, and not putting it out as some test then is like, well, if he knew me, he would know, or she, whatever that is, or a friend, or, or anywhere that you're expecting something like this is, no, you are authoring your life and you're authoring your Valentine's Day. So if you want something, ask for it. It's one of the biggest things I support, coachees and clients, single or not. And, this is one of those also like holidays where it's so easy to feel left out, right? Oh, this is a holiday for couples. And, you'll see a lot of despair despair around this time, and it brings to light if someone's really yearning, for a relationship and they're not in one right now, that this can just feel like like a slap in the face. And, I say in that regard, choose to look at it in this broader sense, no matter what, to see it as a season of love, to see it as a season or a time of like where it's okay to be a little like gushy and share with people in my life how much I appreciate them, how much I care about them, how much they care about me, and to take in how much they care about me in that regard, and do fun, sweet, silly things if you want in that regard. But also to, if you're single at this time, use it as a time to reflect and look at, what's my vision for myself in a relationship? What do I see? What do I yearn for? In one, and what's the pain that comes up for me around the missing of not having one? And, and that holds true of someone in a relationship, to take this time and look at, where are the gaps? Because whether you're in one or not in one, there's always gaps and always places that we want to fill some of those voids and really get our deeper yearnings met. So I really encourage, everyone to, take this as a invitation, for yourself to explore. I think in many ways the word love is overused, and we don't really look at like what that means to us. And I think it's super sweet. And in some ways that we kind of use it very liberally. I mean, I know there's people, certainly I say it to a lot of people I'm not in love with, they're not my partner, but love ya, love you. But it's also can be a time to explore what that means, and give it the meaning that you want it to, and really, acknowledge and take this time to be with love and be with yearnings and be with what's possible for you. And I think what I want to, close with here is to really take some time. And I don't care how long it could be, a minute, it could be 5 minutes, it could be the whole day of Valentine's Day or somewhere around this time, that you really focus on loving yourself. In my whole Rewrite the Mother Code, we look at most important person you need to mother is yourself. So that, dovetails so beautifully here, right? Like how am I not loving myself? Of course, we can explore that a little bit, but what would it look like to give myself some love? That could be verbally, and looking at myself in the mirror and saying some like loving things, and noticing critical thoughts that are coming in, and being more tender with myself, lovingly touching myself, and really exploring what more self-love, and how can I give myself more self-love in this time. And write yourself a Valentine, certainly write them to people you care about, but write yourself one. I'm going to do that. I am 100% absolutely going to do that. And I'm going to, do exactly what I just said. And I'm looking forward to it. I haven't done that as a practice for Valentine's Day. I've been working on it for myself, but I'd love for you to join me, and we'll all collectively kind of be putting some energy toward our own self-love and compassion. So with that, sending you off to love yourself and open yourself to be loved, and know that you deserve love, and know in this, dreary February, if that's the climate season that you're in, that you can bring light, you can bring love, and us all doing that together. I think we'll feel it. Can't wait to feel the ripples coming from you. All right. Enjoy. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you love this episode, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe so that you can stay on the journey and continue to hear more about rewriting your mother code.